content lifecycle. We talked a bit about content last time. What is content and so on and so forth. So just as a refresher, what is content?
Valuable, useful information, or just information for your particular market group.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about digital marketing, digital advertising, those kind of things, content is virtually anything that will get in front of other people. Okay? Most of the time when we think content, the big thing that we want to think about is we want to think about like blogs, blog articles, that kind of stuff. But though that is content, that is only a piece of content. Ads are content. Blog articles are content. The information on your about page or your contact us page, that's content, right? So anything that someone else can lay eyes on is effectively content. So when you talk about the content life cycle, what we're realistically talking about is what content and where, right? What content and where. And so if we think about just marketing in general is intended to be a funnel, right? So it's a funnel. So you funnel lots of people in, and the ultimate goal is that those that come out of the bottom of the funnel will be customers, okay? So when we think about content, what we really have to think about is separation of our funnel. We have the top of the funnel, we have the middle of the funnel, and we have the bottom of the funnel. Right? And so when we're working through content, we're developing content and all that, what we have to think about is what is the content and the people that are seeing it, where are they in the funnel? Right? So, top of the funnel, content. This is where we want to generate awareness. Right? So you said before that you lose 100% of the business from people that don't know you exist, right? And so if you lose 100% of the business from people that don't know you exist, the first thing you have to do is make them aware. Okay. So if that's the case, then we have to make them aware of who we are, that we exist, what we do, what we offer, so on and so forth, right? So as a result of that, what happens is we have to deal with, in awareness, we have to deal with a barrier to entry. Now, what do I mean by a barrier to entry?
Things that could restrict them from coming to the top of the funnel.
Okay, anything that could restrict a person from coming to the top of the funnel, absolutely. A barrier to entry would be any reason for a person to not do something with you, right? I see your business and I don't care, right? That could be one thing. Barrier to entry could easily be, this is a person that sees your business, but maybe they're not in your target market. You want that barrier to entry for those people, right? For people that are within your target market, you want to remove the barrier to entry. Okay, so we have to create content that will actually remove that barrier to entry. And so when we think about this kind of stuff, this is the barrier to entry in marketing is the resistance to giving us time, giving us money, giving us contact information. It's the resistance to giving us any of that kind of stuff, right? And so that means that in the top of the funnel, we have to create content that will entertain, educate, or inspire. Entertain, educate, and inspire. Why?
Points to the relationship.
Okay, points to the relationship.
Make it interesting.
Make it interesting. Yeah, I mean, if somebody doesn't know you, chances are they're not going to want to feel like they're having to read a technical manual to try to get to know you, right? So think about, when we think about the relationship, human relationships, that kind of stuff. You walk up to somebody on the street, and you start talking to them about the Pythagorean theorem, right? Chances are their eyes are going to gloss over, and they're going to slowly and surely back away or turn and run, one of the two, depends on who they may be, right? However, When you get to know someone, I mean, and this is something like if you learn things like public speaking and all that, you want to entertain, educate, and inspire, right? So one of the easiest ways to get broken into an audience in public speaking is things like humor, right? Want something funny. Let's get started with something funny. You want something funny, something shocking, right? Something that would be completely inspirational, a good story, right? So it's the same thought process when we're building in our marketing funnels. Now, in the top of the funnel is going to be things like blog articles. Okay? Unfortunately for most businesses expect that their blog articles are the things that are going to make sales. But it's not. So blog articles should entertain, educate, or inspire, right? Social media. That's top of the funnel. Infographics. What's an infographic?
Picture that gives information.
Yeah. Thanks for defining it with the definition. All right. Yes. It's his favorite. Yes. Let me use the word in defining it. Yes. How do you use the word infographic without graphic or info? So, I mean, ultimately, infographics are pictures that are designed in such a way that they educate, right? It's about giving someone educational information or entertaining information. Either way, it's giving them information in such a way that it's graphically laid out pleasing. Okay? They're very common. Photographs. Photos are common for top of the funnel. Okay? So if you have descriptive photos and those kind of things that you may post on your social media account, right? That's good for top of the funnel, generating awareness. Digital magazines, books, media of whatever kind. So, white papers, PDFs, those kind of things. Digital magazines and books are good for top of the funnel. Podcasts are good for top of the funnel, good for generating awareness, right? You can also use microsites. What's a microsite?
Is it like an ad? You click on it, takes you to your site?
Kinda. So you hear the term landing page, right? That tends to be a microsite. Microsites most often are like one-page websites that have a specific target in mind, right? And so if the goal is to entertain or educate or something like that, and you're pushing a digital advertisement, an ad on Facebook or whatever it may be, you're pushing them maybe to go to this one-page landing page specifically so you can give them information and capture their information, right? So that's also top of the funnel. Print media. Print media is good for top of the funnel, right? So if you do advertising in magazines, advertising in newspapers, those kind of things, those are good for top of the funnel. Oddly enough, for many, many years, people have focused, especially in print media, on spending so much money to try to generate business through print media that they have missed out on the fact that it's best for awareness, not always best for actual sales generation, right? And you see that by, car dealerships and those kind of things that used to put in the paper all of the vehicles that they had for sale and so on and so forth, hoping that somebody's going to come and buy one of those vehicles just because they had it listed in the newspaper. When more often than not, what was happening is people would go and look at the newspaper for an idea of what they wanted. Not necessarily, I'm not looking for the actual vehicle I want to purchase, right? So little difference in that concept of awareness, right? Coupons, those kind of things, not necessarily great for awareness. They are good in different ways, but not necessarily great for awareness. Also, primary research. What I mean by primary research.
For someone to find out general information about you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so if you can be a resource for someone when they are doing their primary research on whatever industry that you're in, that's a key thought process, right? So if somebody is needing to know about how to do certain things industrial electrical, right, and you have blog articles, you have those kind of things, but it's tailored for how they're doing their research for this kind of stuff, then again, that's an awareness. They become aware of your business through their research methodologies, okay? And so what happens is that the vast majority of businesses will do things like post a blog article, they'll post to social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. They will post these things to this, but more often than not, what happens is they do it willy-nilly. There's no real rhyme or reason as to what they do to it. They just try to get information out there and hope that people will click on it, like it, interact with it. They hope that they will see it, right? And so again, the difference is it comes between generating overall brand awareness and generating brand awareness with a target market that is specifically tailored for them to be able to take action on what it is that you're doing, right? There are lots of things that we'll post on social media, on different social medias, to entertain, educate, and inspire. So there are a lot of things that we'll post on that, and a large portion of people that see it aren't necessarily our target market, so I don't really care whether they interact on it or not. What I care about is not the big numbers, I care about the small numbers of people that it really speaks to that's within our target market, right? And so it's a little different philosophy. Now, that being said, though this is top of the funnel, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do all of these things. Okay? It's a good idea to start with 2 or 3 of these things, and then you can expand from there later. It doesn't necessarily depend on the client, it depends on the target market. Because saying it depends on the client, indicates that you're going to attempt to customize all of your marketing to a specific client. Yeah, that's way too much of an endeavor. You don't want to try to tailor, at least not at this particular point, because remember, you're generating awareness, right? You're not. It's not time to try to custom tailor anything toward a specific person. It's time at this particular point to generate the overall awareness of your target market, so that again you can begin to start moving them through the funnel. Yeah, and so. The top of the funnel awareness, right? So awareness of your business existing, but the key here is awareness of problems and solutions. Remember I said you'll lose 100% of the business from people that don't know you exist, right? But the secondary aspect of that is you cannot solve a problem that the person doesn't know they have. Right? So in your marketing efforts in this, then what we have to do, even though we're entertain, educate, and inspire, we should be entertaining, educating, and inspiring specifically around problems and solutions. Okay? And that, by the way, is how we begin to reduce the barrier to entry of the target market. See, if we're entertain, educate, and inspire around problems and solutions of our target market, then it's actually going to raise the barrier to entry higher for people that are not within our target market. It's going to kind of push them away, which is a good thing. Okay, we don't want everybody to be in our funnel, right? We want those people who are qualified to be in our funnel. And so, but those people that are within our target market, by focusing on the problems and solutions that they're dealing with, then what's happening is that you're generating brand awareness, you're generating problem awareness, you're generating solution awareness, and you become the largest part of that solution, right? So, if you're doing the industrial electrical parts, for example, and they've got a major breakdown and they're trying to figure out who do they call, where do they go, whatever, and they've been aware of you, YouTube videos, blog articles, whatever it may be, then it becomes much easier for them to think, I need to call Pat, right? I need to call Electrical Power. And I'm sure they can help me or they can guide me, right? And that's ultimately what you want to generate within that target market is I can either solve it or I can guide you on how to solve it, right? And so we get a lot of that. It's one of the things that I've always tried to train clients on. If you ever have an issue or you ever have a need, call us first, right? Shoot me an email, message me, do whatever, but check with us first because we may know somebody, even though it may not be something that we deal with, right? We may know somebody. And if we do, then that's that, again, it's that relationship aspect of that. Okay, that makes sense? Top of the funnel? All right, so middle of the funnel, so where the top is awareness, the middle of the funnel is targeting and generating leads. Okay. And so while they are generating awareness, leads were focused more on the evaluation. Right? So, remember we said that there's 8 stages of relationship as a company that we want to focus on, but for an individual, there are 3 stages that they go through, right? So they have to go through the awareness, they have to go through the evaluation, and then they need to make a decision, right? And so again, our funnel's really helping, that's the goal. So middle of the funnel, leads, again, this is where we take someone from becoming problem aware to becoming solution aware. Okay? So even though we're talking about problems and solutions here, what we're doing here is we're beginning to increase that level of awareness where they see the problem, they feel they have the problem, and we're beginning to position us as the solution, right? Make sense? And so, middle of the funnel, we're looking at the middle. We want to be able to provide things like educational resources. Okay, so this would be if I've got specific solutions, right? I may have case studies on this. I may have white papers on this. I may have research reports on this kind of stuff that people need in order to be able to work through their evaluation process. I want useful resources. Like Sandy, in your case, with doing the cleaning and so on and so forth, the useful resource may be where they could download a list of the best ways to clean spots, or how to make your own green cleaners, right? So something that is of value. There may be in your case for the electrical stuff, you may have it to where they could download a safety checklist. Right? Get a new piece of equipment. They buy a new breaker, new piece of equipment. How do you check it to make sure that it's going to be safe before you start installing this thing? Right? Because that almost never happens, right? People just buy something, pull it out of the box and plug it right in, and let's hope and pray. Yeah.
We do that check for them, but yeah, it would be good information.
It is good information. Yeah. It is good information. You do that check for them, however, and that, by the way, is a good sales point to the solution. Is if I'm offering safety checklist, then I can put on, by the way, any products or service, any products that are purchased through Electrical Power and Control are safety checked using this checklist before we ever ship the product. Value added, right? Yeah. So what are you doing in that case with the evaluation? Is you're putting that little bit of dissension in their mind of, wait a minute, I could buy this other places and these people may not check this stuff. But at least I know if I buy it here, they check this stuff out and make sure it works. All right? It's the whole reason you look at car dealerships and they say used cars, 100-point checkpoint service before whoever gets off the lot. Right? That's why. It's again, it's the intent there is to create that dissension in the evaluation process to help a person see you as a better possible solution than some other solution. Make sense? It could be things like software downloads. That's a good opportunity for a lot of business. If you have a software as a service, or if you offer a software offering a free trial, something like that, that's good for the evaluation process. It's not good for the awareness process. People don't care about a free trial if they're not aware that it even exists, right? But if they want to try it out try before you buy, right? That's where free trials come in. It's the middle of the funnel, okay? Discounts or coupons. That's also middle of the funnel. Okay. Interestingly enough, you see, because of the nature of different businesses, these funnel pieces can overlap heavily, right? So we're not necessarily talking, I've got to write a blog article that has nothing to do with this. I might write a blog article that's an educational resource, and the goal is to take them immediately from the top to the middle of the funnel, right? I'm generating awareness and evaluation at the same time. Okay? Make sense? Quizzes, surveys. There are a lot of companies that do very well at those kind of things. In fact, it's something you see very commonly on Facebook. I saw something the other day. It was a little app deal that you click in it, and it took like your profile picture, and it tells you what you'd look like at like 75 years old, right? Yeah. No, I mean, me, it was pretty cool. I'm going to be like at 75 years old, I'm going to be a gray-haired, full head of hair, by the way, gray-haired black man that's very muscular with no chest hair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that dude, yeah, that dude, I hate to say it, that dude was a good-looking dude, 75 years old, all right? So, I don't know, I mean, but that kind of stuff oftentimes is fun, but what happens in that, right? Information is captured, right? So they design those things. So when you're logging in, right, what does it tell you? What does it give them? It gives them your profile information. It's marketing, right? And so, quizzes, surveys, those kind of things. Webinars and events are good for middle of the funnel. So being able to offer things like lead magnets, right? A lead magnet is anything that you can offer someone that will incentivize them to give you their contact information and be able to follow up. So it's incentivizing a person to opt in to become a lead for you, basically. So anytime somebody clicks a download now button or sign up button or anything like that, that's effectively that lead magnet thought process, right? Okay. The challenge is it doesn't matter how many leads you have. You cannot deposit a lead in the bank, right? You can only deposit dollars in the bank, right? So it's not just about generating leads. Remember, we have to have awareness before we can generate leads, right? But now, once we generate leads, now we need to get them to the bottom of the funnel, and again, that's more conversion, right? Okay, that's conversion. So we need to be able to convert them now from somebody who's aware that we exist, they've given us their information, and we now able to convert them into a financial resource, right? In other words, a customer or a client, okay? That's what the bottom of the funnel is all about. And so again, the bottom of the funnel is designed to be able to give a person enough information in order to make an informed decision that they feel good about. Okay, and so again, bottom of the funnel can also include things like webinars and events. It can include things like free trials. Bottom of the funnel can include things like customer stories, testimonials. It can include things like case studies. It can include things like comparisons. I actually was looking, for example, at a particular piece of software yesterday. And the software, it was interesting because you see a lot of softwares out there that'll tell you, with a basic plan you get this, and the silver you get the gold, you get this, whatever. But they actually had their largest competitor in that list, right? And so it was side-by-side comparison of their differences versus the competitor difference. And it was accurate information. I mean, people will be able to pick up if you're giving them inaccurate information. It's accurate information. But it was kind of interesting to see that because that's a bottom of the funnel thought process, that comparison. Even things like doing mini classes could be a bottom of the funnel event. And so when you think about this kind of stuff, I mean, I've got a person that's a lead. They might be a lead. They may be reading my blog articles. They may be attending webinars. They may be downloading white papers that I offer them and everything else. But ultimately, what I have to do is I have to give them the ultimate content that helps them make the decision, right?
And on the bottom, David,
to buy.
Presentations also.
Could be individualized presentations. But you got to remember, I mean, individualized presentations are best when they include some of these kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because an individualized presentation, if not done well, can be simply an educational resource. Right? So the difference between the two of these is in the call to action. And so when you think about this kind of stuff, and you think about things like the customer stories, if I can tell a customer story that helps convert, right? This is what we did. Here's an example of what happened in this particular case, and this is what we did to solve this problem. As long as a person can identify with that and it makes sense to them, right? Then they can convert from a lead into a sale, right? But that's the ultimate goal is thinking about at the bottom of the funnel. Oftentimes people are comparison shopping, right? And so even if they're not looking at another vendor necessarily, they're comparison shopping, right? Because depending on the product or service, I mean, you guys are providing products, Sandy's providing a service. And so that being the case, they may be looking at somebody else to buy it from on Amazon, eBay, wherever, right? Whereas in Sandy's case, they may not be checking out some other service out there. The comparison is, well, what if I pay them to do it versus just continuing to do it myself? There's still that comparison in there, right? No action is still an action, right? No decision is still a decision, okay? And so it's that, that bottom of the funnel target is to get them to take the next step. Make sense? All right, so the next stuff that we're going to go through is going to be in a little bit more detail on this content life cycle on the top, middle, bottom of the funnel, and some more on the specifics of the tactics that we can use to get people from A to C.